Hi, I'm Ben Morris. Welcome to Digital Ministry, how to use live streaming, social media, your website, and email to build community and live into God's mission. Building community starts with making a connection. And during this time of pandemic and social distancing, that's harder than ever. This session will teach you how to foster community and mission by building digital tools that create opportunity for face-to-face interaction and consistent, meaningful experiences. Before heading down the road of digital ministry, first you need to consider the question, who am I trying to reach? And then ask yourself, once I reach them, then what? Sure, in the time of pandemic, all of us are looking for ways to connect our scattered congregation. But I would encourage you to look beyond the immediate need of your faith community and consider how your offerings may be experienced by someone not currently connected with your group. Next, consider your goals. Is this effort purely informational, or is it a way for you to get a sermon from your pastor to your congregation, or are your goals bigger? Do you want to offer discipleship opportunities like small groups or catechism? Discussing who your digital ministry is for and what your goals are is the critical first step in laying a foundation for success. So let's get in the right mindset. Large group gatherings are likely to continue to be restricted. People are starving for community and connection. That's where the local church comes in. Our typical American in-person services are designed to lead people in worship in big groups, in big rooms. We can't take that approach and just move it to digital and tell everyone to like our Facebook page. We've got to change our approach on how we communicate and how we lead people in worship. The answer doesn't lie with high production value and green screens, but in authentic experiences of relationship and community. The secret to effective live streaming is not buying a specific piece of equipment or using a specific platform. No, the secret to a good live stream is simply this: it's all about relationships. The goal has to be a meaningful ministry, not likes or subscribers. Make it about getting to know the people in your community, not the other way around. When you shift to this mindset, you are free to focus on what Christ is doing and relationship building rather than the production value of your broadcast. So, how do we create experiences like that? How do we create experiences that minister to people, foster relationships with people in your community, and deepen existing relationships within your church? Here's how you get started. Number one, be consistent. Your live stream should be about showing up, not showing off. Don't overcommit to a level of production that you won't be able to sustain in the long haul. Instead, think, what can we commit to, and how can we show up consistently? Since your goal is developing relationships, this makes sense. After all, relational growth requires consistency. Thankfully, your willingness to show up every week will help your audience show up consistently too. Number two, schedule your content. A big key to consistency is scheduling content. You can do this by scheduling a live or premiere. This tells your audience when and where you're going to meet. This is huge. Think of it as giving your audience your service times or driving directions. If people don't know when and where you'll be meeting digitally, it makes it difficult for them to show up. When you schedule your digital service, your people can start sharing that post right away. Encourage your congregation to like the post, subscribe, turn on the see first and live notifications, share the post, and start inviting their friends and family in the comments section. They'll also have an opportunity to get a reminder on the post, so when the service goes live, the platform will notify them automatically. Another benefit of scheduling your content is that you get a direct link to your service. This is called a URL. You can take that link and email it to your congregation. In the email, give them instructions on how to invite their friends. Another idea is to text the direct link out to your church 15 minutes before the service goes live. You can use software from the list provided to schedule your live or premiere, or use a laptop or desktop and Facebook's Live producer tool. Number 3, cultivate engagement. This sounds complicated, but it doesn't have to be. Basically, it comes down to this. People will engage with you if you engage with them. Let's talk about ways to do that. The first 10 seconds of your digital service is huge. Don't start with a countdown. Instead, say hello. Hook people with why they should care about the upcoming content and ask them to engage immediately in comments in a fun way. You can open by asking people to say hello in the comments and let you know where they're watching from, like the couch, patio, or even the beach. A fun question of the day that's easy to answer can generate a lot of conversation. Provide conversational breaks in your service where you ask questions or prompt people to respond in the comments to what they've just seen. Speak to your online audience during the sermon and ask for responses. You want people to be engaged throughout. You will also want your leadership and hospitality teams to create conversation with anyone who comments. Just like an in-person service has teams that are there early and ready to go, help people during the service with any issues that stick around to get to know people after the service. Number 4, create thoughtful content. Creating thoughtful content starts with an audience-first mindset. This means you will need to be willing to tweak or change a few things to better serve their needs. You cannot just take what you have been doing and put a camera in front of it. You need to consider all of the elements of your service. Here are some questions to ask when you're planning your service. Number 1, what do people in your community need? Number 2, how am I adding value to their lives? Number 3, how do I make this more engaging? Number 5, create a conversation. Out of every comment, as you encourage and invite reactions from your audience, don't just respond to their question. Instead, build a relationship. Train your digital hospitality team to start conversations in the comment thread, and then move them over to direct messages. So if someone asks, what time will the service start? Don't just respond with 10 a.m. on Sunday. Instead, say, hi Ben, service will kick off at 10 a.m. this Sunday. Are you going to join us? Then carry on a conversation from there. There are 2 other elements that I would like to talk about briefly. They are often where folks struggle the most with live streaming: music and offering. Here are a few things to consider. Let's talk about music during worship. The first thing you need to have is the appropriate CCLI streaming license. This applies to hymns too. Any music performed live and broadcasted requires additional licensing from CCLI. The second thing to consider is how music will be performed. This is even more important during the pandemic. If you are thinking about having your choir, worship team sing live, you should know the CDC recommends that singers be at least 18 feet apart to reduce the risk of spreading the virus. Many worship spaces will not accommodate this spacing, so other solutions should be considered. A single worship leader with an acoustic guitar positioned close to your audio streaming device works great. You can also pre-record worship songs, hymns, or a worship set and use software like OBS Studio to play it into your live stream. Again, be sure you have the required licenses. You can pre-record your entire service and set it up to run as a premiere on YouTube or Facebook at a certain time. Again, remember to think through your music licenses and songs you use. If you use songs from Facebook Sound Collection for your intro background, announcement background, or other things, then your stream will not get flagged, muted, or taken down. Next, let's talk about giving. Especially during the pandemic, we want to help you boost the level of giving in your church. If your congregation is not already offering digital giving, you need to. There are several resources available through the Synod office to get your church started with digital giving right away. Once you have your digital giving set up, think about how you are going to encourage generosity through this digital platform. The first thing to consider is fostering the right mindset. Lead with hope, not fear. If you are seeing a giving decrease during this time, you might be tempted to hit the panic button and tell your people, we need you to give in order to keep the lights on. Don't do it. It's tempting to use fear-based tactics, especially when we're feeling a bit anxious ourselves. But as the church, we are called to something bigger than that. We are called to lead with hope, trusting in God's plan for our community and for the world. So how do we lead with hope? Start with the question, how can we best serve the people in our community right now? Providing a mission for your people and hope to your community is the best shot at getting people to rally generously around the church. There are more ministry needs in your community right now than ever before. Lead the way in meeting those needs and encourage your people to not shrink back from giving or the work that's before them. Some practical steps to encourage generosity. Cultivate a constant digital presence during this time. This is just a good idea, period, because it makes you more available for ministry, and it makes it easier for you to share the stories of the work that God is doing through your church and thank people for giving. Don't only go online on Sundays or when you're worried about money. Create reasons for engagement throughout the week. Lead with the Bible and remind people about what it says about generosity, faith, and giving. Make it easier for people to give. I think I already said online giving, but I'm going to say it again. Online giving. Lean in on reoccurring giving. If your context makes it hard to ask people about this, especially now, make a note and work on it once the crisis passes. Okay, so we've covered the basics of streaming your worship service. So now let's talk about some other digital elements that are critical for a vibrant digital community. Are you looking for a way to take live stream attendance or to get people to fill out a Connect card from Facebook Live? Here's what I'd recommend. Start your live stream in a fun way, and also strongly encourage everyone to leave a comment. That's your roll call. Then encourage a next step of getting into a Facebook group. As they request to join the Facebook group, Facebook will allow you to ask people 3 questions. This is now your Connect card. One idea would be to ask them their email, phone number, and how long they've been attending your church. This is a simple step, and it moves people deeper into your digital community. Then, use your Facebook Insights as high-level metrics. Reach, views, and more are available to you. Another option would be to encourage people to use keywords as comments during the live stream. Then use a chatbot or your digital hospitality team to follow up. For example, you could say, if you are new, just type connect in the comments. We'd love to reach out to you and get to know you better. You can follow up with anyone using keywords after the live stream and reply with a comment. Then look for the message option and send them a message from your page. You could thank them for attending and include a link to your digital Connect card via Messenger. Digital offerings for children and youth are more important than ever. With all the uncertainty around school schedules, quarantine length, and what's going on in the world, this is no time to put student ministries on hold. Consider ways to include kids as part of your live stream, or create a live stream or digital experience just for kids. Give families devotional or discussion prompts as part of your digital service. Create a page on your church website with activities for kids, worship songs, skits, or more that they can do during the live stream service or throughout the week. Being home from school and cooped up all the time can be hard on kids and parents. This means that it's easy to be helpful and thoughtful toward families during this time. Here are a few of my favorite ideas that I've seen so far. digital vacation Bible school, creating activities, content, and resources for parents who are now homeschooling, provide meals for kids on reduced priced lunches during school cancellations, create a YouTube show for kids where student leaders lead devotionals, create a podcast of Bible stories for kids that families can listen to before bed, challenge families to memorize one Bible verse per day together. Make a fast-paced worship playlist on YouTube or Spotify so families can have a dance party to get the wiggles out. Encourage parents to take photos of their kids participating in these activities and in worship and post them to social media with a specific hashtag. Kids will love seeing their friends participating as well. It's important that everyone feel connected. So take time with your team to make sure you are effectively ministering to all generations of your church. Record helpful tutorial videos on how the church's digital service works, how to join the service, watch online, give online, or host or join a small group. Be sure to embed your digital service on your website and email your church a link on when and where to watch. Find personal ways to reach out to older members of your congregation and thoughtfully make sure that they're staying connected. Help answer any questions that they have and see what needs they have and pray for them. Some other ideas I've seen are things like putting the audio from your service online or distributing it via podcast. Offer an option for people to call in via tools like free conference call or phone in live streaming. Provide a phone number for people to text or call if they need help getting connected. Make a video to address the fear and unknown of the digital ministry. Create a team of tech people to help those who feel technologically challenged. So besides having a church-wide Facebook group, chances are your small groups want to get together too. Because they're small groups, there may be a temptation for them to continue to meet in person. Don't do that. There are vulnerable people and others who are wanting to follow the advice of the CDC and not be in gatherings of more than 10 people. Don't leave them out. Over-communicate with your leaders. Let them know how to show people grace during this time and make resources like group video chats available and train them how to use them. So how do you go about having a small group video chat? The answer depends on a lot of factors, like the size of your small group, their existing communication channel, and the culture of that group. While many people are off to work, you need to have a regular time that everyone can get together. Encourage your group to think outside the Saturday morning Bible study mentality. They can meet together later at night for prayer and be in contact throughout the day. With this in mind, choose a platform that makes it easy to meet, but also facilitates conversation. We are not trying to replace an hour of Bible study. As a leader, you'll need to be thinking, how can I keep these people connected to God and to each other? With these principles in mind, here are a few options you can check out. Facebook Messenger chat and video chat, Zoom video conferencing, Google Hangouts, Skype video chat, and WhatsApp. As a church leader, you know that ministry doesn't stop after Sunday. This pandemic is no exception. As people turn to social media to relieve their boredom, your church can be a beacon of hope that Christ offers to the world. It may sound crazy, but don't make this about your church. Ask the question, what does our community need right now? Here are some possible answers. Supplies, counseling, a place with Wi-Fi so their kids can go to school virtually, prayer, ways to connect in digital community, or just someone to talk to. The list goes on. Find ways to serve your community. It just may look a little different right now. The church has never been about a building. So let's be the church. By the way, when you do that, the church advances like crazy. That's how it's always worked. Some closing tips and a bit of encouragement. Don't fear doing sound checks and tech checks throughout the week. Facebook Producer has a great test broadcast feature. Your community will engage and participate. They will not judge. You'll find most folks are quite forgiving, especially now. Show them behind the scenes. Don't pursue perfection. If you haven't done it yet, get your worship team online now. We all need a time of worship. We all need to focus on what really matters. A guitar and a phone is literally all you need. If you have a prayer team, have them lead a time of prayer on Facebook Live and ask for prayer requests to be sent via Messenger. Don't forget other digital media. Send out newsletters or church-wide email with a video showing how to subscribe to your YouTube or Facebook channel before Sunday. If you have a children's ministry, get them to record the lesson of the week, memory verse, craft, or activity, and post it online so families can do it with their kids. Ministering to others doesn't have to be exclusive to Sunday at 9 a.m. You now have service anytime. Break the mold. If you have a small church, call every member. Yes, I mean it. See how they're doing. Build relationship. Prepare your moderators. Who has access to your social media accounts and can answer questions via comments or Messenger? Build a Hope playlist on YouTube and share it on Facebook and Instagram. Right now, when it comes to communicating with the various groups in your congregation, you don't just need to communicate, you need to over-communicate. People are frazzled and anxious, so you need to be prepared to connect with them over multiple channels. A snarky, "it's been in the bulletin for weeks," or more likely, "it was in an email I sent," isn't going to cut it right now. Your church needs a way to be in closer, more personal contact with people so you can minister to them and meet their needs. In his book, Life Together, Dietrich Bonhoeffer writes, "Our community with one another consists solely in what Christ has done to both of us." This is true not merely at the beginning, as though in the course of time something else were to be added to our community. It remains so for all the future and all of eternity. I have community with others, and I shall continue to have it only through Jesus Christ. The more genuine and the deeper our community becomes, the more will everything else between us recede. The more clearly and purely will Jesus Christ and his work become the one and only thing that is vital between us. Even in our distance, Christians have not lost what unites them together. By this measure, very little has been lost, for the body of Christ is no less so for being at a distance. Our unity as a body is contingent upon what Christ has already done in and for us. Together, we still have Christ, and he still has us. What more could we need? Life apart remains life together. This is great news for Christ Church. The message of Jesus calls us into community with one another. We are blessed with an abundance of ways to reach out to and love our neighbor. Imagine a church that grows stronger while apart, a church that discovers what God is truly calling them to, a church that relies on the promises of Christ and creates a deeper, richer community while apart.